Let's be honest, most men underestimate just how powerful it is to ignore a woman. Not because they're weak, but because they've been trained to think that always being available, emotionally open, and quick to respond is what keeps a woman interested. But in today's world of dating, that level of access often comes across as needy, and nothing kills attraction faster than neediness. Modern women are constantly bombarded with attention, likes, messages, compliments, and validation are nonstop. So when you do what every other guy does, chasing, over-communicating, and always being there, you stop standing out. You become forgettable. But when you master the art of silence and intentional distance, everything starts to shift. Ignoring her the right way isn't toxic. It's a form of self-control. It's not about playing games. It's about flipping the emotional script. It sends a powerful signal. Your time and energy aren't handed out freely. It makes her feel your absence and wonder about your presence, something most men fail to create. Used wisely, this isn't manipulation. It's strength. You move from seeking attention to owning it. You stop being predictable and start becoming the man who lingers in her mind. In a world full of men trying too hard, the one who knows when to pull away becomes unforgettable. So if you're done feeling overlooked, if you're ready to stop giving away your power in relationships, this is your moment. Let's break down the real psychology behind ignoring a woman and how it can completely shift the dynamic in your favor. Let's dive in. Number 1, why ignoring works. Ignoring a woman works because human nature is wired to desire what feels just out of reach. We don't chase what's too available. We chase what's scarce, what's uncertain, what holds emotional weight. The moment a woman feels like she can have all of you at any time, she stops feeling urgency. She may like you, sure. She may even care about you. But desire fades when effort disappears, and when you're always available, you've removed the need for effort. Now think about the modern woman. She's used to being noticed, complimented, pursued. It's nothing new to her. She doesn't value it like she used to. So when you try to impress her with consistent texting, long conversations, or desperate attempts to make her happy, you're not creating attraction. You're just proving you're another one of the many. But when you go silent, when you withdraw your energy, you interrupt her rhythm. She starts wondering why you're not like the others. That break in expectation is what creates emotional tension, and tension is the root of attraction. Men often confuse ignoring with neglect or being rude, but this isn't about being mean. It's about creating psychological space. It's about letting her feel what it's like without your constant presence. When she feels that gap, she begins to associate your absence with something missing. That feeling becomes her driver to reach out, to reconnect, to engage. But there's a catch. This only works if your absence feels valuable. If you're just a guy who's been needy, clingy, or emotionally weak, then ignoring her won't make an impact because she's already lost interest. That's why timing and self-respect are everything. You have to pull back before you're completely dismissed. You have to create the tension before she gets bored. The key is to make her feel like she's losing something special when you step away. And to do that, you must carry yourself like a man who has value with or without her. When you ignore a woman from that frame of strength, not anger, not revenge, but calm confidence, it hits differently. She doesn't just notice it, she feels it. It throws her off balance. It makes her wonder, did I lose him? And that question is powerful. In the end, ignoring a woman works because it reverses the emotional dynamic. It stops you from over-investing and forces her to meet you halfway. It makes your presence mean something again, and that's when she starts to chase. Number 2, pulling back to regain control. There comes a point in every man's interaction with a woman where he feels like something's slipping, her interest, her effort, her respect. You feel her becoming colder, her texts are shorter, her energy is off. And most men panic. They double down. They start over-explaining, over-texting, or even begging for attention. But here's the truth. When you feel her pulling away, the smartest move is not to chase, but to pull back. That's how you regain control. Pulling back is not weakness. It's not surrender. It's a calculated act of strength. It's the moment where you decide that you will no longer fight for someone who's treating you like an option. Most men forget that women respond to energy, not logic. If your energy says, "I can't live without you," you're already defeated. But when your energy says, "I'm not forcing anything, I'll be just fine without this," everything changes. The modern man is too reactive. He lets a woman's mood dictate his self-worth. One cold response, and he spirals, one ignored text, and he starts doubting himself. But when you master the art of pulling back, you stop giving away emotional power. You stop being a puppet to her validation. You take back the control that you've slowly handed over by always being available, always initiating, always trying too hard. When you pull back, you create a gap, and that gap allows clarity. She now has the space to think about you, to miss you, to evaluate if she really wants to lose you. And most importantly, you give yourself room to evaluate her. You stop operating from emotion and start operating from logic. Is she adding peace to your life or stress? Is she truly into you or just enjoying the attention? These are things you can't see clearly when you're emotionally tangled. Now let's talk about what pulling back actually looks like. It's not ghosting, it's not ignoring for revenge, it's strategic detachment. You reduce your effort. You stop initiating texts. You stop pushing for conversations. You focus on your life, your goals, your peace. You don't make an announcement. You just shift quietly, confidently. She will notice, trust me. And what happens next is where the magic begins. One of two things will occur. Either she steps up, reaches out and starts showing effort, or she fades. And if she fades, good. She was never really for you. But if she starts chasing again, now you're operating from a place of balance. Now she respects your space. Now you flip the emotional dynamic. You've proven that your attention is not guaranteed. It has to be earned. Pulling back is not about manipulation. It's about remembering your value. And once you do that, the control you thought you lost is yours again, without even raising your voice. Number 3, the shift in power. Power in relationships isn't always about who speaks the loudest or who makes the decisions. Most of the time, it's about who cares less, who's more emotionally detached, and who's more willing to walk away. That's where real power lives. And when you ignore a woman or pull back your energy, you trigger a subtle but powerful shift in that emotional dynamic. A shift that puts the ball back in your court. You see, most men hand their power over without even realizing it. The moment she starts acting distant, he starts chasing. The moment she withdraws her attention, he increases his effort. And just like that, he puts her in the driver's seat. He becomes reactive, emotionally needy, and available on her terms. At that point, the woman knows she can control the rhythm of the relationship. She knows you'll show up no matter how little she gives. That's when respect starts to erode. And when a woman loses respect, desire isn't far behind. Now, the shift in power happens the moment you stop dancing to her tune. The moment you no longer respond instantly. The moment you go quiet when she expected attention. That's when she starts noticing you again. Not because you said something clever or tried to win her over, but because you stopped trying altogether. That silence, that absence speaks louder than anything you could say. And here's the thing, most women aren't used to it. They're used to men competing for their time, their body, their validation. But when you become the man who doesn't chase, the man who doesn't get emotionally rattled by her mood swings, the man who can walk away with dignity that shakes her confidence, it makes her question the control she thought she had. And that question rebalances the entire dynamic. This power shift isn't about dominance. It's about self-respect. When you pull back, you stop operating from a place of fear. You're no longer afraid to lose her because you've remembered your own worth. You stop trying to manage her emotions and start managing your own. You show her through your actions that her approval isn't your fuel. That's attractive in a way she can't ignore, because women crave certainty, yes, but not from a man who's desperate. They crave certainty from a man who's grounded, composed, and unbothered. And here's the part most men miss. Power isn't taken, it's given. When you constantly seek her validation, you give your power away. When you always make her the center of your decisions, you give your power away. But when you shift your focus back to your mission, your purpose, and your emotional discipline, you regain that power. And once she senses that, her entire behavior changes. She texts first. She invests. She respects your time. Because now she feels like she's dealing with a man who isn't easy to control, and that is irresistible. Number 4, triggering her curiosity. Curiosity is one of the strongest emotional forces in human psychology, and when it comes to attraction, it's an absolute game changer. The moment a woman becomes curious about what you're thinking, what you're doing, or why you're not reacting the way she expects, you've already created an emotional grip that most men never achieve. And here's where ignoring comes into play. When done right, it doesn't just create distance, it creates mystery, and mystery breeds obsession. Most men think women are attracted purely to looks or money, but what actually draws a woman in, keeps her mentally engaged and emotionally invested is uncertainty. Not confusion, not chaos. Just enough emotional uncertainty that she starts thinking about you more than she planned to. When she can't fully predict you, she keeps paying attention. When she doesn't know what's going on inside your mind, she keeps trying to figure you out. That's curiosity. And curiosity is the door to attraction. Now, here's the secret. Curiosity dies when everything about you is exposed too soon, when you overshare, when you always respond immediately, when you tell her how you feel before she's earned it. That kind of behavior kills the mystery. It gives her a full map of who you are before she even gets emotionally involved. There's no chase, no tension, no wonder. She puts you in the too easy category, and from there, you're stuck. But when you ignore her strategically, you do something most men never do. You give her space to imagine. You allow her mind to run wild with questions. Why hasn't he called? Did I lose him? Was he really that confident? Or was he pretending? That guessing game is where the obsession begins. She goes from feeling in control to feeling uncertain. And that uncertainty makes her crave clarity, and that craving pulls her back toward you. Triggering curiosity isn't about playing mind games, it's about maintaining control over your energy. You don't need to explain where you've been. You don't need to rush back in just because she noticed your silence. You stay composed. You let her sit in that discomfort a little longer. Let her wonder. Let her think, because the more she thinks about you, the more emotionally connected she becomes. And that emotional connection, built through her own mental loop, is far stronger than anything you could force through words. This is why ignoring is so effective. It removes the pressure and replaces it with tension. It shifts her mind from certainty to curiosity. And when a woman is curious about you, she's not detached. She's invested. She may not show it right away. She might even pretend not to care. But internally, she's playing out conversations, rereading your messages, watching your stories. That silence you gave her? It's echoing in her mind louder than any compliment could. If you want her attention, make her wonder. If you want her chasing, make her curious. Because curiosity turns just another guy into a mystery she can't stop thinking about. Number 5. When she starts chasing. There's a moment every man should experience at least once. It's the shift when a woman who used to be cold, distant, or indifferent suddenly starts chasing you, and it doesn't happen by accident. It happens because you flipped the emotional script. You stopped over-investing, you stopped begging for crumbs of attention, and instead, you made her feel your absence. That absence, it's what creates hunger. It's what triggers pursuit. See? Women don't chase men who are too eager. They don't chase men they've already emotionally conquered. They chase men who have something they can't fully figure out or control. That doesn't mean you need to be fake or manipulative. It means you become rare. You become someone who doesn't hand out validation just because she's pretty. You become the man who can walk away. And once she sees that, everything changes. When a woman starts chasing, it doesn't always look dramatic at first. It can be subtle. She starts texting more. She asks where you've been. She brings up things you used to talk about just to spark connection again. She accidentally likes an old photo. She replies to your stories when she used to ignore them. All these things are signals. They're her way of testing the waters, trying to see if you'll bite. But here's the key. When she starts chasing, don't give her everything at once. Don't drop the mystery. Don't go from being a high-value man to a man who's just happy she noticed him, because that's what most guys do. The moment she starts showing interest again, they overreact. They flood her with energy, affection, and attention, and just like that, she backs off again. Why? Because now she knows she has you. The chase is over. You have to learn how to manage her pursuit without killing it. When she reaches out, respond, but don't rush. When she shows interest, appreciate it. But don't throw yourself back into her arms. Stay composed. Stay detached. Let her do the work. Let her earn the emotional position she once took for granted, because if she's truly interested, she will keep trying, and with every effort she puts in, her emotional investment grows. There's power in being the man she can't easily predict. There's power in not reacting to every breadcrumb. When she starts chasing, she's revealing that you've shifted the dynamic, and now you set the tone. You decide how fast things move. You decide how much energy you give back. That's how a man operates from strength, not from scarcity. This is also where you truly test her intentions. If she's only chasing because she's bored, she'll stop when you don't immediately validate her. But if she's serious, if she actually wants something real, she'll push harder. She'll be consistent. She'll meet you halfway, or even more. And that's when you know the game has truly changed. Number 6. Staying silent with confidence. Silence is one of the most powerful tools a man can use in the dating world, but it only works if you wield it with confidence. Weak silence born out of fear gets ignored, but confident silence, calm, composed, and unbothered, makes a woman feel your presence even louder than words ever could. It communicates something no explanation can. You are not desperate, and you are not afraid to be alone. Staying silent with confidence is about control. It's not just about going quiet for the sake of it, but doing so from a place of strength. It's you saying, I don't need to react just because she did. It's about letting her energy dictate nothing, while keeping yours fully in check. And in today's dating world, where most men talk too much, text too much, and reveal too much too soon, the man who can stay silent and grounded stands out like a lighthouse in the storm. Let's be real. Silence can be uncomfortable, especially when you've been conditioned to believe that communication equals connection. But here's the twist. Not all communication builds attraction. In fact, too much of it, especially when it's one-sided, kills attraction. When you keep chasing, explaining, or trying to clarify your intentions with words, you give her all the emotional leverage. But when you say nothing, you take it back. Now, confident silence is not ghosting. It's not cutting her off out of spite. It's intentional. It's rooted in emotional maturity. It's knowing that if a woman is acting distant, disrespectful, or manipulative, the best response is no response, because you don't reward low effort with high attention. You simply remove your energy, not to punish her, but to protect your own peace. When you go silent with confidence, it does something to her emotionally. It forces her to confront your absence. It interrupts her pattern. And most importantly, it makes her feel like she's not in control anymore. That emotional tension is what keeps you in her mind. She might not admit it. She might not show it immediately. But rest assured, your silence creates an emotional echo. She starts questioning her moves. She wonders if she went too far. She replays your last interaction. That's where curiosity, regret, and attraction begin to mix. And here's another truth. Staying silent doesn't mean you're doing nothing. It means you're choosing to focus your energy on your life, your growth, your mission. While she's wondering about you, you're leveling up. While she's refreshing her messages, you're working out, making money, creating peace. That contrast in energy is undeniable. It turns you into the man she wants to hear from, instead of the man she expects to. Men who talk too much are easily replaced. Men who can hold silence and make it feel powerful are unforgettable. So when in doubt, don't over-explain. Don't chase. Don't try to fix what she broke. Let your silence speak. Let it remind her that you are the prize. Number 7. Using ignorance selectively. Ignoring a woman is not something you do all the time. It's not a permanent attitude. It's not a replacement for communication or genuine connection. It's a tool, a psychological weapon, and like any powerful tool, it must be used with strategy, not emotion. If you ignore a woman blindly, constantly, or out of insecurity, it backfires. But when used selectively, it becomes one of the sharpest tactics a man can master. Here's the truth. Most men either overdo it or never do it at all. Some become too emotionally soft, constantly chasing, constantly proving themselves, never letting her feel their absence. Others swing to the opposite extreme, ignoring every woman out of bitterness, calling it alpha behavior but really just masking fear or past trauma. Neither of these extremes work. What works is emotional intelligence. What works is timing. Selective ignorance means you know when to ignore, why you're doing it, and what result it serves. For example, if she's testing your boundaries, giving you attitude, or withdrawing her effort, you don't argue, plead, or demand. You step back. You give her silence. You don't explain yourself. You let her feel the distance. That's selective ignorance. You're choosing not to reward behavior that disrespects your value, and that makes her rethink her actions faster than any confrontation ever could. But selective ignorance doesn't mean ignoring when she's being vulnerable, respectful, or trying to open up. That's where most men lose the game. They confuse strength with coldness. They ignore everything, and in doing so, they turn genuine interest into confusion and disinterest. You're not supposed to be emotionally unavailable. You're supposed to be emotionally disciplined. That means knowing when your energy is needed and when your silence is more powerful. Using ignorance selectively also means recognizing patterns. If she's playing hot and cold, you don't chase the hot moments and panic during the cold. You step back and observe. You let her reveal who she is through her consistency or lack of it. If she values you, she'll step up. If she was only around for attention, she'll fall off. Either way, you win because you didn't chase. You let her behavior show you the truth. Another key use of selective ignorance is after you've re-established your value. Let's say she starts chasing again. She's texting more, calling, trying to re-enter your world. You don't immediately go back to your old pattern. You let her work for it. You stay slightly out of reach, not because you're playing games, but because you understand that what comes easy is rarely respected. Let her earn your presence, not just expect it. The point is simple. Ignoring is powerful, but only in doses. It should be intentional, not habitual. It should correct her behavior, not punish her existence. Selective ignorance shows that you're not emotionally desperate, but you're also not emotionally dead. You're balanced, and in the dating world, that balance is rare, and women chase rare. Ignoring a woman, when done with clarity and purpose, is one of the most powerful tactics a man can use to shift the dynamic and regain control. It's not about games. It's about protecting your energy, reinforcing your value, and creating space for her to pursue you. In a world full of men who over-explain and over-chase, silence becomes your strength. But remember, timing, confidence, and intention are everything. Use this tool wisely, not out of emotion, but from a place of power. When you learn to pull back without fear, that's when she starts to feel your worth the loudest. I want to especially appreciate you for taking your time to watch till the end of this video. I hope the video helps you improve every aspect of your relationship with women. See you in the next video.